From the Opubco Studios at Britain and Broadway, you're listening to a News OK podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to a comics podcast at newsok.com. I'm Matt Price. I'm here with Kyle Roberts. And we're going to give you the roundup of comics for this week. We'll kick it off talking a little bit about a couple from DC. Billy Tucci, the creator of She, is doing Sergeant Rock, the Lost Battalion, and he's doing sort of a true-to-life World War II story where he examines what happened to some of the Japanese-American soldiers in World War II. It's a little text-heavy, but I thought it's a very important story to tell. Also makes a reference to Bill Malden, the former Oklahoma cartoonist who did some very impressive World War II cartoons, so that was nice. Then I'll also mention the next part of New Krypton is out. That's Adventure Comics featuring The Guardian, written by James Robinson. If you read Jimmy Olsen a couple weeks ago, this wraps up sort of that mystery, what's happened to The Guardian, what's sort of his origin, and propels you forward into New Krypton as we find out there's a plot afoot to kill Superman. So that's what's going on in those two, a couple of the big releases from DC. Now let's move on to our other companies.
And do a little bit of Dark Horse?
Yeah, let's talk about Dark Horse. They've been doing Robert E. Howard's properties. They've adapted Conan for several years now. Recently started Solomon Kane, and this is Kull, the third of those properties.
Another barbaric title.
Right. In fact, Kull, the original Conan story, was a reworking of a Kull story, so both created by Robert E. Howard, and he's sort of a more philosophical barbarian. Mm-hmm. He's invading. He's named himself king of this area. He's invading sort of the last holdout as this story begins.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of 300, maybe a little bit of Beowulf or Troy for that matter. We have very realistic humans and then kind of superhuman or godlike. Mm-hmm. And then also demons and other various creatures as well.
Right, some monsters to make it more fantasy based. Although I thought Will Conrad's art was very good throughout. So yeah, it's written by Arvid Nelson, who does sort of the murder mystery Rex Mundi, and he's bringing, I think, a nice take to Kull. So far, this is my favorite of the Robert E. Howard books, all of which have been pretty good.
Sweet. So if you like 300 or Beowulf,
yeah, there you go. And then our final one, the big Marvel crossover in the Ultimate Universe, Ultimatum. It's written by Jeff Loeb and drawn by David Finch. And for me, sort of a mixed bag. Like I mentioned to you that it's kind of reminded me of Ultimate Alliance. Although reading the book, I thought I might rather play a video game of this than read the comic. Some of the dialogue's a little stilted, and some of the artwork is as well. I liked what he did with Ultimate Spider-Man, and there's a couple other good scenes. But kind of a mixed bag for me. What about you, Kyle?
Same thing. I mean, I could picture playing this. I could picture seeing it as a film. Overall, I like it. I like to see where they're going with it. Basically, what happens is it kind of shows everyone at the same time frame. X-Men, Avengers, Hulk, and then there's a natural disaster.
Right.
And so they're trying to figure out why that happened, what's going on.
And if you saw the variant cover, they spoiled the villain at the end of the issue, but we won't for you. So, I don't know. I was interested in some of the plot. I wasn't sold on some of the execution. However, if they do make a video game of it, I think I'll pick that up. So, in closing, I guess I'd say my favorite book of the week was Kull. So
yeah, I probably like Ultimatum. I want to see where they kind of take off from there.
All right. Well, for Kyle Roberts, I am Matt Price. Thanks for downloading us.